Oh, hello. Sorry. No, you didn't disturb me. It's fine. I was just, nothing. I was really nothing, actually. Sorry. It's not often anyone comes in here, living or otherwise. No, but seriously, it's, yeah, well, I haven't felt a presence in here for a really long time. I'm not a very good medium, you see. Well, anyway, no, come, take a seat. It's that's what the chairs are for. Oh, I used to be a painter, but I left the profession, obviously. I couldn't stop painting ghosts. That's all I kind of remember, really. I don't remember it very well at all, but I mean, the market for haunted paintings is not what it used to be, so you can imagine I was a rather unpopular choice for commissions. Silly, really. The thing is, ghosts do need someone to help them talk. Not to talk for them, just as like a vessel to talk through. And I'm predisposed to it, so, you know, you fall into what you do. Do you want to hear a joke? I'm going to tell you a joke. You want to hear a joke? Yeah, sit down. I'm going to tell you a joke. A fortune teller is buying a shirt. The clerk holds one up and says to her, "How about this one?" The fortune teller says, No, that won't fit me. That's too small." The clerk says, "How can you know that? You haven't even tried it on yet." And the fortune teller says, "Well, I'm a medium." Now that's a funny feeling. Oh wow, I think someone's actually here, other than you, other than me. Ghosts are like moths. They love a light. Well, low light. Candles and bonfires and such. This will help whoever's here stick around. Now we just need to say the magic words and the rest will be, well, history. No pun intended. I told you I'm not very good at this. Here we go. Blessed be the knife you reach for in the dark, with no hope but to grasp at very least the blade. Blessed be the lamb as she bleats her soft tune, unaware that she conducts the theme to her slaughter. Blessed be the hunger as it guides the still warm flesh, writhing and dripping in the dark within. Blessed be the mouth that tells your story, scarred and mumbling an unhinged melody. Blessed be the voices in the night. Let this dim glow find them. Let them find us. Oh. Hello. Oh, hello. You must be my lucky charm. None of this was happening before today. Nothing ever came. Nothing ever appeared for me. And now you show up and it's all here? Well, lucky charm. Do you read? Fiction? Non-fiction? Yeah. Poetry? You've heard of Emily Dickinson then? Oh yes, Emily. Can I call you Emily? You are heard of. In fact, you're considered one of the greatest American poets of all time. Oh, and that is no mean feat. Where should we begin? Where should we start? Stumbling beginnings of her poetry or her inspirations, her dreams. I don't want to be invasive, but it's silly. You'd think I know what to do with this. You'd think I know what to do, but it's just been so long and we already know so much. It seems such a waste to probe her about her herbarium and whether or not she was really a hermit or if that was just a society being society about the whole lady poet thing, or... Oh, well, it's pretty well established that there was an expectation set for women at the time to behave a certain way, but because she was a poet, she was expected to be, well, weird, wistful and virginal and floating around in white cotton and soft socks, no care for the company of others, and, well, you could be two things as a woman: seen and social, or a philosophical shut-in. Not both. No vitality, no colour, no sexuality, and we know that wasn't true for our friend here. I mean, you've read her poetry, but have you seen her letters to Sue? They're, well, it's like a whole other language. I mean, what, Sue? Well, she wants to know what became of Sue, naturally. Well, she died. The same way you did, I suppose. The same way we all will. But she fought for you, and she learned to type, and so she'd have your books published, and you know, there was some jealousy in the press. One Mabel Loomis Todd, I believe. Well, the way you spoke to each other was edited, an awful lot, butchered really. But she was steadfast. She insisted you be published the way you were. Whip smart, no cuts, totally deliberately brilliant. Completely brilliant. And here. Well, we all know she was your reader. She also became your greatest advocate. It's clear that she cared for you deeply. Yes. Loved you. Loves you still. I can imagine. Susan, I would have come out of Eden to open the door for you if I had known you were there. You must knock with a trumpet, as Gabriel does. His hands are small as yours. I knew he knocked and went away. I didn't dream that you did. Can you imagine having someone write about you that way? So fervent, so intimate, real, hot to the touch passion, love. They loved each other. Can you imagine everyone else reading that? I can't. I mean, Well, you're being brave about it, Emily. I suppose you don't really have any reason to be abashed about it. When you love someone that much, there's nothing to be embarrassed about because it's so true. I can only imagine. I had a feeling this is what she'd be wondering about. I'm still impressed by how unself-concerned she is. Confident to a fault, really. She's always known what she wanted. There's a quote from her that I love that was recounted by a classmate of hers. Emily loved learning, but of course they lived in a time so much more pious than we do now. All the students that desired to become Christians were asked to rise, and she remained sat, which of course they all found odd. But as she put it, they all thought it queer I didn't rise. I thought a lie would be queerer. It's not a crazy route to take nowadays, to not desire to be Christian, especially with so many denominations and more rigorous religious education, libraries and such. There's a lot of choice, you know? You can even choose to be nothing, which I suppose she did, but at the time, frowned upon to say the least. She was a bit of a trailblazer. Every account of her is so vivid, so fleshed out. She was seriously ahead of her time, if you ask me. Or, you know, anyone. I guess that was the appeal of poetry to her. It's an exploration of the self, expression of the soul. She clearly found purpose in it. And I'm glad she seemed to find some peace in this whole thing, knowing what's become of her, of Sue, of them. I'd even say she's bemused by the whole thing, but that doesn't shock me at all. Maybe it'll serve as inspiration, huh? Poetry from the beyond. I'm sure you've got better things to do as a ghost, though. If there's anyone to get a good kick out of haunting someone, I'm sure it would be you. And just if you're gonna faff about in here, please don't move stuff around. I have a system. She's going. Any last words? Yeah, that was pleasant, wasn't it? A fine young woman. Well, old, dead, anyways. It was wonderful to meet you, Emily. Haunt us again soon. Why did I do that? Silly. Oh dear. What is it now? We have another visitor. I can't quite put my finger on who it is. Not wildly helpful. Oh, what do they mean? Well, this one represents masculinity, the same way the Empress represents femininity, but they have different values, naturally. This one's about establishing something, structure, law, creating a spark that grows and solidifies new thinking, new ideas. And the Hierophant is spiritual wisdom, piety, it's knowing yourself and having faith in what comes from within you. And as for the matches, well, I have no idea. Oh, don't worry, I'll be careful. I'm not trying to set everything in here ablaze after all. Can you imagine the way it would all go up? Oh, goodness. Okay, hang on. Michelangelo, surely. Who the hell else would possess a box of matches? Not feeling very talkative. But it's definitely him. He can certainly hear us. I mean, it makes sense, I guess. What's more pious than painting chapels? Well, I'll tell you one thing that's not. Running away from them. Did you know he did that? 4 times to Florence. The Pope had to send agents to retrieve him. It was when he was painting the Sistine Chapel, which he did not enjoy one bit. He didn't want to be a painter his whole life, you see. He saw himself as more of a sculptor. That's where his interest really lay. There in architecture. He was deeply unhappy painting the Sistine. He even wrote to a pen pal of his, Giovanni di Pistoria. Or da Pistoria? Giovanni da Pistoria. My painting is dead. Defend it for me, Giovanni. I am not in the right place. I am not a painter. he's not a fan of that. Well, that I know that, I guess, that I know the contents of a letter of his. I guess he didn't write it with the intent of it being seen by as many eyes as it has been. Wait, he's speaking. He wants to know about what I said before, about the matches and him. Do you know what I mean by that? No. Michelangelo, before he died, he built bonfires of unfinished work, sketchbooks and the like, set them all ablaze. It was probably one of the last things he did as his health declined. He knew his death was coming. He didn't want people to see anything leading up to his work. No sketches, no practice pieces, nothing but the finished thing. Nothing but perfection. It's what he expected of himself, I suppose. He was barely a teenager when he was released from the man tutoring him in painting because he had nothing left to learn. He was a prodigy. A real, well, you know the saying, a real Michelangelo. But he was. He was real. He was more than a saying, more than some frescoes, more than the works that defined his life and his death. He was a master. Of course he wanted to erase anything that he considered imperfect, and of course he doesn't know that he didn't succeed. How can I tell him that? How can I possibly do that? I've seen some of his work before, you know, hung high, shimmering in the overhead lights. I felt like it was beckoning me, and I went to it, like a moth to a flame. I'd always been fascinated by him, by his work, by his life. I felt close to it. And there wasn't another soul before it. They were all concerned with some Da Vinci in the same room. It was Madonna on the rocks, I think. This was another Madonna, the Manchester Madonna, and the Entombment of Christ was next to it. It's not actually called that, it's just called the Entombment, but that's what I remember. Both unfinished, but both, they were beautiful. I was swallowed whole. The finery on the figures, rich and heavy on the Madonna, but light and modest on the Entombment. The skin was almost gossamer in nature. It was as though I could reach out and touch it, but if I did, it would surely burst into thousands of tiny particles, like a bead of water disturbed. Tiny, gentle pricks of matter. I thought as I sat in front of it, he was here too, looking at this the same way I am now, perhaps more critically, but he'd been where I was. We were passing through one another and it gave me chills. Well, more than chills, the hairs on my arms raised and a dull ache passed over my temple for a moment, and then, well, just a different feeling entirely. He was there. I knew it. Haunting me through the empty silhouettes, watching with those missing eyes, gaping wounds on the surface of the canvas, and then I thought, is he always here? Is he trapped and twisted and blind in each of the faceless slave statues that line the halls to his most famous piece of all, David? Forever? Does he know where he is? He was there. I wish I could lie to him. I wish I could say that we respected his fervent efforts to dispose of these kinds of works, but that I'd never seen these carefully planned but ultimately unexecuted figures, faces, forms, and these barely born bodies that adorn the walls of some of the biggest galleries in the world. But I can't. He's already seen me. He sees me now. We cross paths once again. And he's so angry. But your name is like water. It fills the mouth of many, and it spills onto the streets like a hurricane. Michelangelo, ah! They buried you twice, you know. Once as a painter and once as a saint. Oh, I'm gonna be exhausted after this. None of these things were haunted before, you know. None of them. Not before you came in here. Sod's Law. Have you heard of that? Anything that can go wrong will. Now who's this little soul? No, not little. This is a crescendo, colourful, wild hurricane of a spirit. It feels so gentle, and yet there's these horrible, piercing shoots of violence. Who? Come on out then. Don't be shy. I think I know who you are, but I'll believe it when I feel it. Vincent van Gogh? We can let him take his time. He can hear us, I think. Do you know much about him? No. I didn't either, initially. But as a painter, I was interested in a man like him. I've seen his art everywhere. I mean, who hasn't? I'm sure you have as well. I like to know what the greats were like as people, not just as artists. And Vincent van Gogh, well, argumentative, tempestuous, difficult, but also passionate, determined, self-assured. He only sold one painting his whole life, you know. One, just before he died. He sold it for 400 francs. Do you know how much that is now in British pounds? It's less than 400 pounds. Which is insane to me because, well, do you want to take a guess at how much his work's worth now? No? I thought you were better than that. Well, I'll give you a hint. It's millions. Millions! Though that's not so shocking when perhaps the shyest ghost in the room is one of the most recognised painters in the world, with the most seen, the most spoken about, the most stood in front of, written about, stolen, talked about paintings. Aha! Got him. Got you. Got him. Hello, Vincent. It is a pleasure to meet you. Oh, wow. Yep. All true. All true. You don't know half of it, really. We've had some other visitors besides you today, and to say the least, there's been some... Well, it's been busy. This might be overwhelming for you. No, you're right. You're right. Sorry, I'm being a tease. It's not fair to tell you more now, huh? After all of that. I know. I was a bit overzealous just now when I was trying to tamp him down, but he's right. And he doesn't sound upset. He's already dead. I'm not sure where he's buried, but if we hear of any earthquakes from there within the next 30 minutes, at least we'll know it's just him rolling in his grave. No, that was funnier in my head. Anyway, he died thinking he was a failure. Lucky charm. Can you imagine? That self-belief he held his whole life, fostered by so few people. His brother, Theo, and his wife, Joanna. They're the only reason we have any of him at all. No thanks to his mother. He was an entity of his own making. The fire that he stoked inside himself, so great it all but burned down every building he walked into. So fierce and so bright that it didn't even spare him. So vivid that it broke open the sky for him to show him the stars, the moon, to hand them right to him. I can't stand to think about it, really. Vincent, did you hear that? So many people will look at the sky tonight and see your stars. Each field is a meadow that you painted. Each flower wishes it had been seen by you. Your fame, however late, is true. Your success is earned but slow moving, like a glacier, and now it crashes down all around us. I wish you could see it. Oh, please don't cry, Vincent. It took him 30 hours to die, you know. Not a peaceful death. Slow, painful, not the one he wanted. I'm not sure what you can see, really. I know you're not really here. I don't know if you're seeing through me or if you're just floating in some primordial soup behind my eyes. Maybe all you can see is some sort of night sky inside my head, but we close our eyes and I think we see the same thing. Listen, can you see? Can you see? All I can do is imagine this for you. Can you see? He's gone. I lost him. Too hard to hold on to. That one, I just hope he saw his work the way I see it. The way so many people do, just for a moment. That's the bonus of this job, I suppose. It's literally having someone see things through you. And don't we all wish we could do that for someone else sometimes? I mean, God, that was so intense. Brief, but God, I wish I could have said something more to him. You know, I haven't painted in so long. I don't even know if I remember how. I can't remember the last time I did anything, really. I wonder what will happen to my paintings. When I die, I mean, what will happen to the memory of me? Do you think they'll talk about me? The failed painter turned medium? Do you think they'll lie? They'll say I was a recluse. No one ever came into my parlour, let alone asked me to paint them. Lest they be cursed. I won't even be able to correct them. I'll be dead. And this job is going out of fashion. There'll be no one to summon me. I'll be so lonely. I'll be so bored. Ugh. Why can't we just let the dead die? Oh, this? The world. Well, it's like, it's things coming full circle, usually. It's the end of the hero's journey. It's celebratory. Usually by this point in the story, the hero has overcome trials, learnt lessons, reflected, and they use that to then look forward. Start anew. It's like being shown a mirror that you can reach into and see yourself, and I mean really see yourself. Reach in, link fingers with yourself, and just pull it right out. And before you know it, you're on the other side. And you're seeing yourself again, but this time you're her. And you understand. And when she walks away from the mirror, so do you. And you keep walking on to the next thing. But this time, you know what you need to do. Because you learnt from yourself. The journey ends, but then it starts anew. On a different rotation, a different cycle, a different season. When you're lost like that, the world always will show you where to go next, one way or another. Maybe that's why this is my card. It's like I'm haunting myself in here. I'm my own ghost. One that didn't know where to go, so just settled, huh? I haven't left this place in so long. I'm dead, aren't I? Fuck. Where will I go? I don't know. I never thought of that. The sea? I suppose I love the sea. Did you know this whole time? Of course you did. I knew it was weird how many of my things were getting haunted. Well, I won't quiz you any further than that. I think I've asked enough questions today. It seems I have somewhere to be. Well, lucky charm. It's been... I don't even know what to say. It's been... Hey, you never laughed at my joke, you know. Are you gonna? No? Not gonna give a dead woman one last laugh? Okay. I see how it is. Well, I won't be seeing you.